Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Russ is off tonight. A proud and emotional day all across the state and country. Although every day is a day to appreciate and honor those who serve and have served our communities and country, today across Montana, those images and emotions played out on multiple levels. We begin tonight with a welcome home for a family whose father, son, and hero sacrificed everything to save his comrades.
We're so proud to be Americans and so proud of Travis given the ultimate sacrifice.
The family of Staff Sergeant Travis Atkins arrived back in Bozeman today, just 2 days after the war hero was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for sacrificing his life to stop a suicide bomber 12 years ago in Iraq. Jack and Elaine Atkins, his parents, were greeted by a full honor guard, friends, family, and those who just felt they needed to say thanks.
That performance, what he did, comes from inside, and that's a great credit to his mother, to his father, and their upbringing.
A hero's welcome, one sacrifice. Travis Atkins will never get to see that hero's welcome. Well, today the nation also stands tall to honor our Vietnam veterans. Veterans, their families, and community members gathered at the Yellowstone National Cemetery in Laurel for the second annual Vietnam Veterans Day commemoration event. Q2's Rob Griggs was there.
Fire. Fire.
President Obama launched the Vietnam War Commemorative Program in 2012. In 2017, President Trump declared March 29th as National Vietnam Veterans Day, stating, quote, "We will honor all those who answered our nation's call to duty. We vow to never again confuse personal disapproval of war with prejudice against those who honorably wear the uniform of our armed forces." Today's ceremony honors Vietnam veterans who served in active duty from 1955 to 1975, and each Vietnam veteran will be presented one of these commemorative lapel pins.
I was assigned to the 4th Infantry Division.
Don Kendall of Billings, a Vietnam veteran, was the keynote speaker for today's events.
I think it's to recognize those of us that served and maybe honor our service. A lot of us didn't get a real good reception when we came home 50 years ago or whatever it was, and kind of stayed out of sight for 20 years. And now several of us are getting active in things like the VFW and being thanked for our service, really, for a change. Yeah.
In Laurel, Rob Griggs, MTN News.
Thanks, Rob. Now, Rob tells us this ceremony will happen each year on March 29th through the year 2025. That will mark 50 years after the Vietnam War ended. And a little snow did not stop a gathering at our state capitol today. Vietnam veterans, service members, and others commemorated Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day with an honor walk around the state capitol. Organizers driving home that those who served were not always given good receptions when they returned, leaving physical and mental scars. As a Montana Highway Patrol trooper fights for his life in Utah today, people in the Billings community came out to support the family of Trooper Wade Palmer. Palmer was shot in the line of duty earlier this month northwest of Missoula. Now, the workout of the day at Alternative Athletics was the Trooper Palmer workout. Participants had to go through a series of exercises until they completed 301 reps in honor of Palmer's badge number. Many gave their all to complete the workout, and then they gave financially to help the Palmer family.
Amazing when you think about a community like any, whether you're talking highway patrol, police department. I mean, these are guys that laid on the line for us, and unfortunate circumstances have happened, but it allows us as a community to give back to their community, which is phenomenal. So just to have the opportunity is amazing. We've been doing this for 10 years. I think this is like our 3rd fundraiser. But when they happen, we just love to roll up the shirt sleeves and help out.
And the gym also hosted a barbecue this evening to raise funds. Well, President Trump issued a permit today that allows for construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. Pipeline supporters applaud the president, while opponents call the action unlawful. Q2's David J. has more on the presidential permit. David.
Well, Jeanelle, the new permit rescinds previous presidential permit that was issued 2 years ago. In a lawsuit, The U.S. District Judge had ruled that the State Department needed a more thorough environmental review. The new permit is issued by the President, while the State Department issued the old presidential permit. The new permit also leaves out a statement that the project is subject to limitations, terms, and conditions issued by U.S. government agencies. The lead plaintiff in the Northern Plains Resource Council and Sierra Club lawsuit says the new permit appears illegal and is unprecedented.
To be perfectly honest with you, I was just waiting for this president to do this. I was waiting for this to happen. I was pretty sure it was going to. He has a right to vacate the permit, but he can't do an in-run around the court system. He has to understand that the judicial has powers too, and he can't just disagree with everything in any branch of government that he doesn't like.
Mike Summers of the American Petroleum Institute says that the Keystone XL pipeline has passed every environmental review conducted over the last decade under both the Obama and Trump administrations. Meanwhile, TransCanada's Russ Gerling says the environmental reviews are clear. The project can be built and operated in an environmentally sustainable and responsible way. Northern Plains spokesman says the organization needs to look closer at the permit before deciding what to do. And according to the Wall Street Journal, TransCanada has not said yet if construction will happen this year. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, David. Well, Republicans at the Montana legislature have been steadfast in their support for a bill to help Northwestern Energy buy part of Colstrip 4 and extend the life of the plant. But that plan briefly came off the rails today. MTN's Mike Dennison tells us what happened.
The bill to encourage Northwestern Energy to buy up to 20% of the Colstrip 4 power plant hit a political stumbling block Friday in the Montana Senate. But when it was all said and done, the Senate revived the bill and approved it, sending it on to the State House. Senate Bill 331 says if Northwestern is able to buy part of the coal-fired plant for $1, it will then be guaranteed to recover from its Montana electric customers up to $75 million of future operational costs of the plant over 10 years. Supporters of the bill, mostly Republicans, say it will help keep the plant operating well into the future. The Senate gave the bill tentative approval on Wednesday, but on a final vote Friday, 10 conservative Republicans changed their vote and joined the Democrats to vote it down. Later, it was revealed that this conservative bloc was upset over a totally unrelated bill involving an internal party dispute between conservative and moderate Republicans on local party central committees. After the Senate took a break and the two GOP camps talked things over, the conservative bloc agreed to relent on their opposition to Senate Bill 331 and voted to bring it back to the floor and passed it on a 27-22 vote. Senator Dwayne Ankeny of Colstrip, one of the biggest boosters of Senate Bill 331, told MTN News that he remains confident the bill will continue its path through the legislature. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. Now the bill will have its first hearing in the House within the next week or so. Well, just yesterday, state lawmakers voted down a bill meant to boost urban economic development projects statewide, and that includes the One Big Sky district here in Billings. As Q2's Zoe Zandora reports, it's a blow to the Billings leaders behind that initiative, but they're not backing down or bowing out.
Put a lot of time and energy behind this, but I don't want to lose the value of all that work that we've done. And so I think this has laid a foundation for where we go in the future.
An effort to transform downtown Billings, the One Big Sky project, a 4-core district, each with its own anchor focused in lifestyle, education, and a health and wellness district. And what would the bill have done? It would have allowed tax exemptions and state grants for certain civic infrastructure projects.
Our goal would be to try and attract private investment using our existing suite of economic development tools. It makes that road much, much more difficult, but we still need to have those conversations.
He says there's still work to do as a community and a state, which is part of why they were advocating for the 406 Impact District, a tool that could probably help communities across the state of Montana.
So we're going to work with a city that has some similarities to us, Rochester, Minnesota. The tool that we had introduced in the legislature has been used successfully in Minnesota.
It's not over. They're looking at next steps right now, wanting to educate not only the state legislature, but also local civic leaders on what it looks like when a community starts to be strategic about investing in itself and its amenities.
We're not backing away. This is really important. We're in competition. This is the passionate part of me coming out. We are in competition for talent and private investment. And the states in our region got it. They understand they're competing, and they've innovated their economic development tools. We haven't done that yet. The 406 Impact Districts was an opportunity for us to think a little differently and new about how we approached economic development in the state.
Arviskow says they've laid a strong script for the future of Billings and how it can look. They just need to build the resolve to move forward in a thoughtful way. In Billings, Zoe Zandora, MTN News.
Thanks, Zoe. Now, Zoe says to learn more about the 406 Impact District tools, you can go to the One Big Sky District Facebook page. Well, after 2 hours of debate today, a Medicaid expansion bill cleared another vote needed to exit the House. This after 10 failed attempts to amend the bill by opponents. The measure would continue to provide health coverage to thousands of low-income Montanans. It would extend the $700 million a year program, but add new requirements. The bill needs another vote before moving to the Senate. And the session's big infrastructure bonding bill passed the Montana House. It's the first time in several sessions the House mustered the needed 2/3 majority vote to approve that bill. The bill contains $80 million of bonded debt for a variety of infrastructure projects across the state. Now the bill heads to the Senate, where it also must clear a 2/3 threshold. After changing a single word, a bill aimed at addressing missing and murdered Native American women is alive again at the Montana legislature. Hannah's Act went down in defeat Monday. The bill is named for Hannah Harris, found murdered on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation in 2013. But today, the committee changed a single word from would to might when it comes to hiring a missing persons specialist. It will now head to the full Senate for consideration. And next week in Billings, MSUB will host a march to raise awareness of murdered and missing Indigenous women. The march is Friday, April 5th from 10 to noon. Marchers will start at the MSUB campus and walk to the Yellowstone County Courthouse lawn. Now their speakers will talk about legislation, share stories, and provide suggestions for future action. A Sidney, Montana woman accused of killing her infant daughter remains in jail tonight on a $1 million bond. 30-year-old Sasha Hines is now formally charged with stabbing 2-month-old Kylie Hines on March 16th. Investigators say the baby died from deep penetrating wounds to the chest. The suspect's brother, who was also at the home, claims Hines had taken meth the night before and began to act violently and erratically. Well, turning to weather, Bob, we had some really cold days in February. In fact, these last 2 months, brutal.
Yes, exactly 2 months. And so we were wondering just how brutal was it. So we went and did a little work on the records, and we can show you what we found. Here we go. Here's February. As you can see, the average high and low temperature. The average temperature was 8.4 degrees, which you might remember was the second coldest February on record, which, by the way, we did not set or break any new records in the month of February. How bizarre is that? Snowfall, we had 29.4 inches. Turned out to be the third snowiest, and we had 19 sub-zero days in February. Now, in March, this is when we had the average temperature of 27.9 degrees. Turned out to be the 7th coldest, but we actually set 2 record low temperatures of 19 below zero the first week of March. Snowfall, we had 2.2, turned out to be the 7th snowiest on records, and we had 5 sub-zero days in the month of March so far. And so, yeah, it's been a weird couple of months. So if you feel kind of fatigued because it's been so cold and kind of snowy, you're exactly right. Go ahead and have a nice weekend. We'll talk about the weekend in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Just glad it is over. Well, coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, we introduce you to a Montana man who shows us that over the hill means running over them. And in sports tonight, Scott checks in with both your Cats and Grizz as spring football progresses.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.